that just a thing of beauty. A cart full of plants ready to go into the garden. Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. It is planting day. It is full steam ahead. I want to start getting these shrubs in the ground. I have perennials coming that I want to get in the ground. I gotta show you all something. Ta-da! Cherry trees are gone. Oh, it looks so different. It looks good. It looks like progress. Andrew the painter said it looked awesome. He likes seeing the view over here. I still want, the willow tree will grow. Robbie the willow will grow very, very quickly in just a couple years. And then we're going to do that duodar, I can't say that right. The cedar right here to cover this utility pole. So the arborist told me that these cherry trees, the ornamental cherry trees, and really the middle tree, which wasn't ornamental, but it was looking not very good, they weren't long for the world. He said that they were going to start declining pretty rapidly. And so I didn't want to plant like a whole bunch of shade stuff underneath there and then have to dig it up once the tree became like a hazard and we did have to take it out. So I just wanted them to take it out really quick, and I think it looks pretty good. So let me show you all what I'm planting today. I got a cart full of really, really pretty plants. Even for this time of year, they are looking good. Okay, so I am planting 3 different plants today. I am planting a Gatsby Pink Oakleaf Hydrangea, Estrelita Little Star Firecracker bush. I know I've talked about this one so many times, but it is so pretty. And then finally, I am planting this Flavorful Honey Apricot Rose because it's showing off right now. It's looking so good. So hopefully you all saw, well, I don't know, those of you who don't live in the West, maybe you didn't see, I am doing a Best for the West planting is kind of what my plan is for this property. I'm going to be planting plants that do really, really well here on the West Coast in California, specifically like kind of in like a Mediterranean climate. And all of these plants fit that bill. All of these plants are going on my Best for the West playlist. I'm really excited about it. Now, here's the thing. I can't put every single plant on the Best for the West playlist. So I just chose Gatsby Pink, but of course there are other colors. Gatsby Moon looks gorgeous, and I would love to have that, and that would be just as good. And then of course roses. There are plenty different kind of roses. Roses do so well out here. So just know these are just examples of the plants that I chose for the Best for the West playlist. So just to talk a little bit about these plants before I start planting. First off, we have the Gatsby Pink Oakleaf Hydrangea. It is a zone 5 through 9, and yes, this plant is on my Best for the West playlist. Oakleaf hydrangeas are actually really, really good for us out here, which is surprising because they're a hydrangea and we're really dry out here. But the Oakleaf hydrangea actually only needs half as much water as other hydrangeas, so they can handle a little bit more drought conditions. You still have to irrigate them, you still have to give them water, especially when it gets really, really hot, but they can handle the heat a lot more than other hydrangeas out here. Now, I am still going to be planting panicle hydrangeas. I'm still going to be planting my limelights, but I'm going to plant them in a little bit more protected areas. I think I'm actually going to plant them over in my secret shade garden on the north side. But this one, I feel comfortable planting it over in my orchard. I'm going to plant it right in between my 2 oranges, my orange trees, because Oakleaf hydrangeas can actually take full sun, but more if you're like closer to the coast. If you're more inland like I am and it's a lot drier, you might want to give it some afternoon shade. Dappled shade is probably the best, so that's why I was thinking that in between these 2 orange trees would be really, really perfect for it. So Oakleaf hydrangeas are actually a North American native, so they are good. They are good for here in California. They're good for Florida. They are a good hydrangea to have, and they are beautiful. They do bloom on old wood, so it's best to put Gatsby Pink or Gatsby Moon. It's best to put that in a place where you just not going to prune it. You're just going to let it grow. You're going to let it get massive, 8 feet tall and wide. Yes, it's massive, but it's absolutely beautiful. And it blooms for so long. Gatsby Pink starts off with these white blooms and they quickly transform to pink, and then they stay that way for a very long time. Then the other cool thing about this plant is the leaves, the foliage, will actually turn color in the fall. So you get some beautiful almond color, and then once this deciduous plant loses all its leaves, it has these cinnamon color stems. Can you see that? So it does even have some fall interest. Right here you can see the buds. You can see it's already set buds for the new season. So if I was to cut these off, I would have no blooms. So it's really important that you don't cut this plant. You don't prune back this plant too late, like in the spring or something like that. You really just want to leave it. The next plant I'm planting today, you've actually seen me talk about this quite a number of times before because I'm super excited about it, and that is Estrelita Little Star. It's a firecracker bush, otherwise known as a Bouvardia. I'm really excited about this because this is actually a Southwest United States native. So it's basically native, you know, over where I live. The colors, you guys, is so fantastic. And if you look at the shape of the blooms, if the wind would stop, they are that perfect trumpet-like bloom that hummingbirds love. And I've already seen my local hummingbirds coming to this plant and being attracted to it, which is really exciting. It gets about 2 feet tall and wide. It blooms on new wood, and it blooms spring through fall. And one of the things that I didn't know is florists actually really like this plant to use as cut flowers. I don't even know how to use it as cut flowers. I can't even imagine it, but I'm going to figure it out. And next season, I'm going to be using that for some arrangements, hopefully. So I have 3 of those. It can take full sun to part shade, but I have noticed at first I had it in full sun when I was like sitting in my backyard and I was watering it. Now it's a little bit different because when it's in when it's in cans, it's stressed out, but as soon as I moved it to a more shady spot, or was getting about part shade, it did a lot better. It was handling it a lot better. So my plan is to put it kind of over by the pink Gatsby Pink Hydrangea, kind of in this kind of dappled shade area. I think it'll be really happy there. Then finally, the last plant that I'm planting today is the honey apricot flavorette rose. The cool thing about this plant is that it is edible and it tastes good. I don't want to ruin this bloom and eat it, but these plants were bred for landscape performance and for good taste, which is really fun. So this is another plant that I'm going to figure out. I'm going to figure out some recipes that I can use. I've already looked at like candied rose petals that you can use as decoration. I'm just really excited about it, and it smells delicious. This plant gets about 4 foot tall and wide, and it likes full sun. It does say zones 4 through 8, and I am a zone 9B, but I think it's going to do perfectly fine here. I'm excited about it. Deadheading is not required. You can see I have not been deadheading it. I probably should to make it look nicer, but it's not required to keep blooming, which is nice. Yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I don't remember. I think it was the day before yesterday. I came and I planted Miss Molly butterfly bush and then also my heliotrope right here. They're doing well. They kind of look weird out in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, I am planning on planting my honey apricot rose maybe right there. I think that'll be a really good spot, 4 foot tall and wide next to Miss Molly butterfly bush that gets 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. So I think it'll be pretty right next to each other and pretty colors next to each other too. All right, that is enough talking. I'm sure you noticed Andrew the painter is here. He is working on the back deck today, so I'm not going to be in his way at all, which is very good. So let's just get started planting. All right, and they're in. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm trying to decide whether or not I should label all these plants. It's like the perfect time to label them because I can label them kind of as I go, but I don't know if I want a garden full of labels. I might want it to be just a little more natural. So I just have to think about it. I got to decide. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including the willow. This is like the 5th specimen that I've planted in my garden. So I don't know. I just got to think about it. I just haven't decided yet. So over in the island, it's so compacted. It is so terrible, which is kind of funny because I read that when you're over a leach field, it tends to be more wet than other areas. That is the driest land I've ever seen. I think I'm going to get one of those sprinkler heads and just turn it on over there just to get some moisture into the ground, because once you dig below the mulch, you can see kind of cracks in the clay soil, kind of like you would see in a desert. It's bad. So this digging stick, what do they call it on here? They call it, somebody told me that they have different names for these all over in different regions. This is called a sand and jello bar is what they call it. Anyway, lifesaver, total lifesaver. So what I would do is I would dig with the auger, with the power planter, create my hole, and then just drop that stick in there a couple times to break up the really hard soil, and then finish up with the auger. And that seemed to work really well. Over here with the Oakleaf hydrangea, the soil was beautiful, dark and rich and beautiful. So I'm starting to learn kind of areas of my garden, what works. So when I planted Miss Molly butterfly bush in my heliotrope, one of the most common comments that I got in the comment section was that I need to till. I need to till this land. I need to till the whole thing up. I don't want to do that. I do not want to do that with this land. I want to leave it natural. It's really important to me that I leave this land natural and not tilled. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with tilling. Like, absolutely, like, till if you want to till. I am not going to till this land, and that's just a decision that I've made. I want to leave it natural. I want to keep the soil structure and the biome of the soil, and so I will not be tilling this soil, just so you all know that. And there's I don't want to say this because it's terrible, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. I don't know. I hate saying that, but basically there's more than one way to do something, and it doesn't mean that if I'm doing it one way, if I'm doing the no-till method, it doesn't mean that that's the right way and that's the only way. And I just want to make that clear. Tilling, for those of you who do till your garden, that's not necessarily the right way for everyone either. We all have our own ways, and we just have to figure out which way is the right way for us. So I have always tilled. I've always tilled my land. I've always tilled my garden. And I've decided that this time I don't want to do that. And I want to see how it does. And I think it's going to work pretty well. I think it's going to do pretty good, especially with this property that I have. So just so you all know, I appreciate the suggestions in the comments section, but I will not be tilling. I will not be getting a rototiller for this land. I'm going to do it no-till method naturally and keep the structure of the soil, no matter how hard and compacted it is. This looks good. Andrew the painter working his magic. Okay, so let me show you where I put everything. So over here are the 2 orange trees. So first we have the Estrelita little star kind of curving around here. Again, these are going to get 2 feet tall, 2 feet wide. So it's going to be kind of like a little grouping, like a little swoop right here of the little star. They're so pretty. They are just the prettiest flower. And then behind that, kind of tucked in here, we are going to have this Oakleaf Hydrangea Gatsby Pink. It's going to get big. It's going to like fill out that whole area, but I think it'll be so pretty. I mean, imagine. So here's the pathway. I'm going to be walking along the pathway right here. So as I walk along the pathway, I'm going to look over here, and then we're going to see an orange tree, the Oakleaf Hydrangea kind of tucked into there, and then an orange tree right there. And then I'll come through here. I'm going to be cutting this all back right here, and then the pathway will continue out that way. So I'm just going to be planting kind of along that pathway with the thought of, what will I look at while I'm walking along the pathway? So that's those. And then coming over here to my lone umbrella. I have my honey apricot rose that I think is just going to be so pretty right here. It's going to get 4 foot tall, 4 foot wide. Doesn't need to be deadheaded, just beautiful, beautiful color. Next to Miss Molly butterfly bush, next to heliotrope. Hopefully they last over the winter. If not, I will just keep planting them as annuals. My color scheme is all the colors. Bethany from Chicago Gardener on Instagram, she was talking about her color scheme being all the colors. And I have to agree, Bethany, my color scheme is basically all the colors, which I'm very excited about. I think it's going to be beautiful. So I still have to hook all these plants up on drip, but that is a problem for tomorrow, Janie, not for today, Janie. Today, Janie is worried about planting and worried about getting these plants in the ground while I still have time. Basically, you want to get all your shrubs, perennials and shrubs and trees in the ground for fall planting 6 weeks before your first frost. And I think I'm like at 10 weeks right now, so I have about another month. So I'll get my drip system hooked up before then, but I do have a big delivery from Walter's Gardens coming tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. So more planting videos coming your guys' way. I'm excited to get things in the ground, and I'm excited to start kind of getting used to my soil here, kind of, you know, figuring out what I need. That stick, that digging stick, the San Anselmo stick, not San Anselmo stick, San Angelo stick. I used to live in San Anselmo. That digging stick is super, super helpful. My dad is the one who recommended for me to get that. And that combined with the power planter, I think are going to be my 2 secrets for this soil. So anyway, everything's good. All these plants are going to be great in this area. More of the best for the West plant list. I'm excited to get them in. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.